Can you see the bird out there? Those are either black vultures or turkey vultures. I'm noticing that from underneath it can be hard to tell which is which. But right now I see 5 of them there. 6. We're down the cliff. I was working on trying to get some of the Asiatic bittersweet removed. The turkey had just been up there, and when I came out it ducked out and it went scurrying down this hill. I'm sure it flew eventually, but you know, that's, oops, I'm crooked. That wasn't something I caught a little bit of it on film, but I forgot to turn on hyper smooth, and then I tried to follow the bird, and it's an absolute crap video, so I'm not sharing it. So there. So excuse me. So I had my snippers in my pocket when I came down here following the dang bird, and so I kind of started working on trimming some things down here. And I did notice there's a little spot of poison ivy down here, and I do my best to keep after that. One of my tricks is to put my hand inside a plastic bag and pull them, but that is one of the few things that I will use plant poison on. I also found a dried out dead lanternfly, you know, those terrible ones. So I'm sure we'll have more nymphs this year. I tried to make sure I was killing as many as possible, but with a cliffside like this, there's just really not an opportunity to look at everything, not in the least. But this plant that has the tight tufts of leaves, 1, 2, 3, as opposed to the looser tufts of leaves. So this is a tricky thing, and I've done videos on this before. The native sumac and the invasive TOH, Almiantia or whatever it's called. This is called Tree of Heaven, but I'm going to call it Tree of Hell, okay? Because it's absolutely awful. And it is the host plant for those lanternflies. I'm worried, though there's nothing I can really do about it one way or the other. I am a bit worried that the white film on this dead one. So there was a point in time where I went down with climbing gear and a couple of spotters and completely girdled the bark, and then you just spray a little bit of I used poison ivy killer, like Scott's poison ivy killer, right on the area that you strip the bark off of, the whole way around. It's called ringing a tree. And then I sprayed a little bit of poison, and then 5 years later it finally fell. But I'm hoping those are mushrooms, because from a distance or maybe lichen or something, because from a distance it's really hard to tell if those would be lichen or if those would be, you know, egg masses from these terrible creatures. So I would really like to get more of these. Yeah, there's another one down there. These younger ones, so they can't continue to throw seed out. So that's the trouble, is there are male and female, and it is good to prioritize getting rid of the females, because heavens. Oof. Because they are the ones that really make the problem bigger. But they do also, and this one happens to be a female here, and so far, because I can't get to its base, so far what I've been doing is using the pole lopper to reach over and cut the seed heads off when it gets, and then it takes a year off, and then the next year after that I have to do it again. So it's a funky looking tree because of that. So still got a good bit of nursery stuff going on down here. One last elderberry right there. Oh, I was pointed wrong. Right here, that's one last elderberry. and several little trees through here, as well as a lot of snake root that keeps these from getting eaten by the deer. Best deer fencing I've ever had. Now the poison ivy is right here, and I really hope I haven't touched it. There's deer running down the landslide over there. Can you see any glimpse of them? There's some big deer. They look basically there, but I could just, oh, you see the big birds too. I could just hear them. I can only barely see them, but here we go. Look at them, right in here, look there. Can you see the deer? Working their way down that landslide area that I had planted out. They are slightly freaking out over me, but I think for the most part they're okay. Look at those birds. Yeah. I mean, they're still there. They're just moving really slow, and it's hard to see between the trees. Okay, there, they're going off sideways. They found a path sideways off into the... That's good. We should get down there again sometime and take a look at how that landslide's doing. I haven't been down in a while because I had problems with my feet swelling up last year. And I had a lot of trouble, honestly, walking last year. I don't think I admitted that to you guys at all. But that was a thing. And I really just... I couldn't prioritize that at any rate, you know? So, there's that poison ivy, little baby, and a bigger one down there. That might be too big. I don't know for sure. I might not be able to pull that out because it does look like it's gone into like vining mode. I didn't see it last year. I'd have been able to just pull it last year. Now, we don't pull with our bare hands. What I do is I put a bag, like a Giant Eagle bag, over my hand and pull, and then I make the bag inside out so it's completely inside and the bag's just hanging in my fist, and then I just throw it away. That is how I remove poison ivy. So, yeah, I'm working on it here with the weeds and stuff still, but a lot slower than at first. And somewhat selectively. Oh gosh, I can't really get all the way over there, but that arc there is all that Asiatic bittersweet that I was working on cutting out here. So, over time I will have to continue working on that. That's one of the ones that the root stock at the bottom is just absolutely wicked. So, there's the cliff. I accidentally stepped on a baby plant that this will be the third year in a row that I'm going to try and keep an eye out for a linden tree, an American linden tree seedling. They look like little jazz hands. If it's 5 pointed jazz hands, one hand like this, one hand like that, coming off, then it's a native to America. It's the American linden tree. And if it is 7-finger jazz hands, then it is the European linden. Those trees are often called lime trees as well. And another name for the American linden tree is basswood tree. Bass spelled like the fish. This coral bell, I gave it little buddies. I gave it snake root buddies as, again, deer fencing and bunny fencing, because this one got nibbled really, really far down. But it's bushing back out, so it'll be okay. Let's see. Looks like I'm gonna get some blackberries on my accidentally thorny. I really thought I was ordering a thornless. But it's supposed to fruit twice, so I'm just hoping that I can leave it on the in the ground and not have to pot it up, because I really am not a fan of thorny things. I potted up this one. I really need to fertilize this one. Oh, we've got Lily of the Valley growing in there now too. So I really need to fertilize these too. This is that ground cover Arctic raspberry. It is thornless and it gets dug at, as you can see over here. So I'm thinking about leaning another piece of fencing, because you can see how much farther this got and how much more established it got with this over top. It also doesn't seem to mind the violets, but I guess we'll see. I think the violets would help protect it against the digging over time, so if that's gonna work out, I'll leave it. This is the spot where that turkey was digging, probably for worms and grubs and stuff, but it's nice and loose right there because the turkey was kicking. A little wild turkey. You'll have to look at my shorts. It's today is April 20, probably 3rd. I think 23rd. So, these are ostrich fern. I've had them for about 10 years and I still only have 2. But 2 is a major increase in numbers, because for the longest time I only had 1. I am thinking about putting the other one, like lifting it and seeing if it likes somewhere else better, just to give it a chance where like the Christmas fern are growing anyway. The elderberry is doing really good. It's sprouting up everywhere this year, and it's really kind of letting a lot of its upper foliage lose life. The native elderberry that I have in the front here is very much like raspberries in its growth habit, just much slower in that it lets its individual shoots die over time and replaces them with like newer ones, and then like way newer ones. Boo boo boo. I gave 2 away right here. There's one. Got some trees to weed out of here, I see. Hello, neighbor pup. I got a new friend, and from new friend I have a cutting of Siberian pea tree that I'd like to get in the ground, hopefully today. We'll see how it goes. The clearing of this open stock area is going well, slowly but well. I'm not entirely sure what all I'm going to do about some of them. It is genuinely a bit tricky to get first to figure out where all to transplant them if I'm keeping them, and also to source who to give them to. I don't care if I keep them or not. But, you know, and some of them are empty, so I probably could just start pulling some of this and consolidating back here. My goal is to have a space big enough to set up my tent here. I did end up pulling these. There were black ants in these, and I think I want to pull the last one as well. And maybe some other bits of logs here, there, and everywhere, because there are definitely more bugs from the logs than other things. Destructive bugs. So, you can kind of expect some big fires. I think you saw pictures. I did set up an outdoor piss pot, and I freaking love it. It's just a bucket in there that's nitrogen reclaim is all it is. I go inside if I have to go number 2, but it is really nice to not have to drag my dirt through the house or get my shoes off. There's a lot of literature on the usefulness of urine in the garden that I've spoken on in the past, and you could look up mine or somebody else's. If you don't want to trust me, that's fine, but I think it's a very interesting thing that might be worth you looking into rather than commenting grumbles. So here we have spice bush. That's American spice bush with the yellow flowers and the little red berries and the leaves that smell like citrus. Here we have a red twig dogwood that I didn't realize I had. And then here we have switchgrass. This is about as tall as it gets, but there's a bunch of them, and I need to divide those and either plant them or pot them out or whatever the case may be. But this is kind of a lot of older stock that I need to do something with. The raccoons have gotten so excited about my compost that there's actually a wildlife trail here that I'm starting to use too. The quince is doing well. It didn't flower this year, so there definitely won't be fruit, but it's also its very first year from bare root, and that usually takes 3 years for fruit to come in. I did transplant one of the 2 yellow flag iris that are native that I had pulled from down in the river on one of my kayaking trips, and I planted it there because it'll get a lot of water that way. This is the overflow trough of wood chips. You can kind of recognize that there's a trough there, and it extends, so that I'm further extending to take it away from the house. 2 logs across this is an ephemeral pond at the time. I'm still pondering the shape and size and depth of this, and so I haven't even tried to make it anything other than ephemeral, but I did put these logs across in case something or someone were to fall in. They'd be able to pull themselves out a bit easier. I'm surrounded by toddlers, so I worry a bit. My inky caps are still going strong. These introduced themselves to my garden and have been a great food source. These are, I think they're hairy ink caps. I kind of forget the exact name, but it's something like that. If you look up hairy inky caps, it might correct you if you check the pictures, but I spent 2 years studying them before I decided I was going to eat them, and I highly recommend that amount of caution. Somewhere in here, there is rootstock for a different thornless raspberry variety, but it just can't seem to get out of the ground. Over here, you get kind of a comparison. I want to show you why I fenced a few of these, and in order to show that, you need to kind of study the current state of the thornless raspberry here and how many leaves and florets are missing from them. I am in the process of interplanting clove currants, and the clove currants don't get as bothered by herbivores, so I'm hoping, and they get pretty tall, they get like 5 foot tall, so they should protect a lot of this on the inside. And then they do smell good. They smell a little bit clove-like is why they get their name, but I'm hoping that those will do well and that I can get more planted along the way. They spread. The clove currants are a native wild currant, with the easternmost territory being Ohio. This is Pittsburgh. Ohio's like 2.5 hours away of a drive, so I don't think it's a stretch to bring them here. So then in here you can see many more buds. Can you tell? I'm going to put my arm through. Many more buds. Many more leaflets. They got transplanted after a winter of getting chewed on, so they are blunt-tipped plants right now. And even this one that has slightly weaker stems is flowering out and will be fruiting before too long. So that's why I put these in here. It's because, and with this, because it needs to have them not reaching over either. So the sea kale's doing really good. Hopefully I'll get seeds on it this year. So it is trying to flower. I think those are basically like broccoli florets right now, but I think I'm going to leave them alone because I only got the one sea kale, and I believe they're true perennials in seed every year, but just in case they don't, I want to make sure I get a bunch of seeds in the ground too, because it would be nice to have more than one sea kale plant. I ordered 3. 1, 2, 3. The one with more shade survived. These two get a lot more afternoon sun, and it would seem that was not the desired outcome, at least for the young ones. You can see my silver vine kiwi here. That's the male. The female is that right there. Apples are in bloom. This is another thornless raspberry. This is called raspberry shortcake. And it's budding a little bit later than the other ones, but it's happy. And it's got a seedling of a purple plum that sprouted here. I do really, really need to transplant these as well. Oh, good. There's a couple more. Oh, maybe I'm not that late in doing it. There's still some sprouting. Okay, maybe I just need to push this columbine back to give it enough light, but these are American plum. I think they all are. That one doesn't feel like a plum seed. This is a plum seed. Husk. Right, and that one doesn't look like it wanted to grow, but I can put it in the ground anyways. Oh, maybe that's what it is. Maybe those are the inner liners. After the shell comes off, there's like a thin lining? Well, anyway, at least these guys are definitely American plum. And I don't want to transplant them while they're too fragile. Like, oh, and I want to get this way here. This is a... Oh, well, that's fine. That's the violets that are in there. But I don't want to transplant them while there's like these tiny little fragile babies everywhere. I had originally planted Caucasian spinach in here, and I suppose that could still come up, but that's not what we're seeing here. This is just, at least I don't think that's what we're seeing here. You know? Could be, I suppose, in some of them, but I really don't think that it is. That's more of the violets. Trying to keep them from shading and choking everything out, but that is not an easy task to ask. So, I mean, if I still get some Caucasian spinach, great, but it's been like 3 years since that, and it's only been 2.5 years. Wait, 1.5 years since I put these in the soil. I don't know what this plant is, and that's why things would end up in pots originally. As I would see something that I wasn't sure if it was a weed or a seed of something I wanted, and I'd pot it up until I could identify it. Really great way of learning what seedlings look like. And then giving yourself time to identify. I put a couple more of the black cherry in pots here. That one is 100% definitely a black cherry. The other one I'm not positive. These are black cherry too, and they still haven't leafed out, oddly enough. And they're clearly alive because they've got this like cute red color at their bud end. They're just in a lot of shade, I think, is what's happening. So they're coming along. I also still have to plant out a bunch of the black cap raspberries. And I want to put those right in front of the guardrail, so at least I've decided, but that still requires action as the next step after decision. I haven't seen many flowers yet on my thornless blackberry. It has a very similar setup to the raspberry as far as like trellising high, but that's as much because it sends out these epic shoots that will taproot if given the chance. It's as much because of that as it is because of deer browse reaching over the fence. Down here we've got, I think I may have accidentally pulled the first of the two different native bleeding heart. So I just have the one at this point, but I do also have a bunch of Arctic strawberry down here. I noticed that the elderberry there is starting to bud. Haven't seen a whole lot of flowers after the catkins on my hazelnuts down here. They did try a couple years ago, so I'm hoping they'll try again. So that's that corner. The hardy kiwi is leafing and budding. This is hardy acai. It has been getting close to and slightly below freezing at night. So I don't know if we'll still have, well, here's one. Don't touch it, but that's one flower that did okay. And rhubarb and haskap, honeyberry, aronia, Saskatoon. These are Saskatoons on either side, and that's a cherry. Gonna let the neighbor kid run away and not turn around for a second because he looked really uncomfortable. He's not a close neighbor. I don't know exactly whose kid that was, to be honest. Yeah, same thing with the cherry. I don't know, as if, yet again, everything might have frosted off. It's entirely possible. I don't know for sure. Here we have the red lake currant going bonkers. I hope all of those go to fruit. They're quite nice. They're sour, but they're nice. And then my columnar apple has a couple of sets of flowers on it, at least. Looks like these ones have already finished. Oh, excuse me. Got a bunch of flowers on the Osterberry this year. So that's nice. The elderberry over here is much more chewed upon than the other, but it seems to be very happy I moved it. It's comfortable. And the ajuga underneath it is pleased as punch, so that's nice. I want to move this. Let's go closer. I think this might have been a freebie columnar apple, but then it's also got these like suckers for probably hyperdwarfing. So you can kind of see that this branch is different. Oh, this is actually all above ground there, but then we got another one that's coming from underground. So I've got one that is possibly an improper graft of another columnar apple that, if I trimmed correctly, might do fine. And then we've got one sucker of a hyperdwarf rootstock, which, if I dug all this up, and then we got these too. I don't know what all this is. So if I dug all this up, I could definitely plant another columnar apple, but then I'd have to figure out what these are, if they're grafts or if they're more shoots. So this would be a high effort little apple tree. So I'm thinking about putting it and letting it thicket near the cliff, because it doesn't get that tall. It would need protection from browse more than what it currently has. But yeah, I'm really not sure, because this could be, it's just hard to tell if that's all rootstock or if some of that is a graft. So, yep. The raised bed, a lot of this stuff I don't know if the seeds are going to take till later. It does look like at least one of my strawberries over here survived. And then we do have 3 or 4 little seedlings of the Magnolia virginiana in there that I also need to transplant and pot up. Another rhubarb. Past all this rubbish here, it takes a long time for the sunchoke to come up. A couple of those little green sprouts might be at this point, but you usually can't tell if they live through the winter or not until early July. That said, these yellow here usually don't bloom till June. So we've had a very warm spring. It's accelerated a lot of things. The lovage is 2.5 foot tall. The asparagus, I'm not even keeping up with it properly. This time you can be mad at me if you want to, because I'm literally failing to keep up. Those ones look good. This one I did on purpose. Doesn't look like I'm too late on some of these. I could harvest 3 or 4 out of here. And I want to pick which one's going to grow and be my leader up there. Should probably have asparagus tonight. And there's a lot of rhubarb to harvest too. I'm betting the groundnut is another one of those ones that it doesn't pop up out the ground till late. So that's what it's been doing for me. Looks like I got another baby rhubarb right there. I don't know what I'm going to do with all this rhubarb. Another black cherry. Potted clove currant. Yeah, so look at all this rhubarb. I really got to harvest. Oh, look at that. That's huge. Yeah. Luckily it's Perpetua, so it does keep producing all year. So that's what's happening in the garden right now. Not making as much progress as I'd like with the garden, but I'm not making as much progress as I'd like in any area of my life. So that's just that, I suppose. That's how it is. This has been a really long one. So if you're still here, I appreciate you so much. I'm so glad you like the garden and want to watch. Looks like I need to get some eggs out of there too. Hey, Purple Herp. That brown bird right there is Purple Herp. Goldilocks in the back corner there, along with Gak, the little brown one. Are you on top of the door? Yeah, we'll say hi. Hi, Goldilocks. This is one of the sparkles right there by the pole. She's chilling. You got your one wing up in the air. You're being funny. You're all laying funny. There's Brown stretching. None. I don't know. I see Calico in the back right there. And Splotch, where are you, baby child? You hiding under the thing? Splotch was on top of the log earlier today. They might be having interquarticular problems. Are you not getting along with people? Splotch. Splotch, baby, where are you? Oh, we got mating. Huh, Gak? Gak and Skeksis there are the two roosters. No, where's Splotch at? Where are you hiding, baby? You under? Can't see well enough to tell. Yeah, wait, maybe. Oh, there she is. There she is. She's right. She just went behind. Let's go see her. Here she is. What's up, kid? That's Splotch. She's a cutie. Yeah. This morning I came out and she was sitting on top of the log, which they don't usually do. They're ground birds. They like to be on the ground. But they've been enjoying their greens. And I've been enjoying being able to get rid of my weeds like that. It's always been it's also been very helpful to get like a platform under their water. Can you see it? There we go. They're drinking right there. I put a wire platform under that because they just stand there so often that it gets gross really fast right there. So, this has been an incredibly long video. So I've awarded you with quail at the end, and please drop a like if you want to hit subscribe. I mean, if you made it this long, clearly you like my content. It's basically just a garden vlog. And I hope you're all having a really good day. I'll be keeping track of my garden progress by going back and watching these. But, you know, if you got ideas or if you think like this, that, the other thing, or questions, I'm really good with questions. I'm so overwhelmed that the ideas I'd be looking for are like labor-saving ideas. Not like more additional things I could do right now ideas. I've been depressed. I have, so not a whole lot of anything has been getting accomplished. Whoops. But I hope you're having a really good day. Thanks for visiting the cliffside. This has been Permaculture. Take care. Bye.